Hello everyone, my name is Varax and welcome to Deep Deadly Dungeons. In this video, I'm going to be solo playing this here game, which is a board game that I have designed. I'm going to release this video alongside another video which is a tutorial on how to play the game, and it's very scripted and involves a lot of examples of how to play and demonstrations, things like that. But I'm also releasing this gameplay demo, I suppose, which will be nice and casual, and I'll just go through the game and as an example of how a game might go of someone just playing it, I suppose. Hope you all enjoy this video, and indeed the game. You can get the game on Tabletop Simulator, this here module, down in the description. We are listening to Divinity Original Sin ambient music. I'll leave a link to that as well. Obviously, this has nothing to do with Larian Studios. I just thought it'd be nice to listen to in the background. So, if you want to play this game, obviously you can download it and play with your friends. I played this with multiple people, and it's been warmly received. The game is constantly being changed and added to and tweaked, and there's quite a lot of things in it that I'm going to change and will be changing over the coming months, so you can maybe load into this and it will be different, it'll look different, but everything you see here will at least give a general gist about how things will work. So let's get into it, I suppose, shall we? So this is a game for 1 to 6 players who will control 1 to 6 characters. I'm only one player. I'm going to control 3 characters for the purposes of this demonstration. But if there's like 2 of you, you can play it with 2 characters, or however you want to do it, really. I've chosen these 3 characters as they will hopefully demonstrate how all the different elements of the game work. This is the Battle Mage. The Battle Mage casts spells. We have Forced Flight, which is makes something move whether they want it to or not. Fireball, which is an area of effect damage. Firebolt, which just attacks one enemy. And Gale, which is a debuff. This is a wild magic mage. Also, they have a buckler and a scimitar, so like a sword and shield with a bit of armor as well. So quite a mixed, diverse class. We've also got a barbarian, a melee fighter who specializes in dishing out damage, often, sometimes, to multiple opponents, but has very little self-preservation about their fighting style. And finally, we have the monster hunter. She's a ranged specialist who can also stealth. So we have a multitude of different playstyles with our characters. I'm going to be quite light on explaining generally how things are working. I'll go through it, but that's more for the other video. This is more of an example of how things are played out. But just so everyone knows where we are with this, we've got statistics here. All of these colors represent different dice. Apart from the grey ones are nothing. And then we have the character's equipment over here, in which we have a longbow in the character's hands. There's a ×2 symbol for the hands there, which means it uses both hands. I could swap this out and put it into our backpack over here and equip the short sword into this hand. And then we've got leather armor on the torso. Whoops. A slot for boots and head. We're going to start with the longbow for this character though. I'm just going to equip that there. I've also got grit here, which counts for rerolls, and it's also the experience system. Wealth for the character's personal coin, and health for to know what happens when a character, how healthy they are. Here we have the board. Here's the party formation where we're going to be putting our characters. Around them will be spawning enemies. Got a few little bits and pieces around here, which we'll get to as and when. One thing we need to do before we start the game, I've already done some of the setup. I've chosen characters, put these blocks on, and found the equipment cards, but we need 3 action cards for each character. So we'll give this a bit of a shuffle. Give 1 to you, 1 to you, 1 to you, keep it all nice and safe. Now we'll get another 2 for the battle mage. I'm not going to look at these yet. I just wanted to do it on camera. There you go. We can just put that there for you, so that it is, genuinely random. So 3 action cards each, and then we can put these characters on the board. The Barbarian is going to go to the front, where she can whack the most things. Battle Mage, I think I will put to the back. And then the Archer will put in the middle. Right, now we can start. Here we are with our quest, the Undead King. An evil power is rising from a nearby tomb. Venture forth and deal with it. This should take 2 hours and is a relatively easy quest to do. I'm going to play this game for an hour and see where we get, so the video isn't overly long and so I don't show everything about the quest. Now, as you load this module, there may be different quests to go on to, but I do recommend we do this one first because it contains like the tutorial combat, which we're going to do now. We start in the home space and we're going to move up into here. These black squares are combats, and the coloured numbers show what enemies there are, because the enemies are all in decks of enemies. White is the least strong, and orange are kind of bosses. And in this, so we'll go to this room just as an example, because it's a better example. We have 0 white, green, and orange enemies, and an equal number of blue enemies to the heroes. Over here, though, we have a white B, because the first room contains beginner enemies equal to the number of characters. This is an exceptional kind of way to do this. We have 3 characters, so we are going to randomly draw 3 beginner enemies, and it is a skeleton. They're all skeletons, just so you know. Let's take a brief look up the card to see what it's telling us. So this is the character's color. It's a black enemy. -5 is its initiative value, or initiative modifier. We'll get to that in a bit. It's an undead enemy with 2 health called a skeleton. Spawns at the front of the party formation. These are its attack dice and defense dice, 1 white in each. Doesn't spawn any extra loot for the encounter. Is worth 1 experience, 1 reroll, and characters who kill it get 2 wealth. Now this is going to spawn at the front, so we're going to put it there. We can even toggle that health counter up for that. Going to spawn another one, and it's a skeleton that spawns at the front. And they don't all spawn at the front, but they are all skeletons. But this one's going to spawn to the right. So we'll pop that one there, and we'll use these little toggles just to keep track of their health. So these guys don't have any extra loot on them, but every single encounter in the game does start with a loot card. We have 1 loot card by default for every single combat we fight. So there's that one for this one. And now we can start playing the game. The first step is for the characters to choose, to draw an initiative card to find out their starting initiative. So the initiative tracker will determine the turn order. Obviously 10 goes first and 1 goes last. 0's used for other things that we might get into later in the video. But it goes from 10 to 1. 10 moves first, 1 moves last. And we do the characters first. Now, this is only their starting initiative. It may change depending on what they do on their turn or what they decide to do. So the Battle Mage only starts with a 3. The Barbarian also with a 3. These are not high scores. And then the Monster Hunter with a 7. Okay. Well, let's do the Barbarian first, because this is probably going to be the most straightforward character to do. On a character's turn, they have to A, play an action card. Got to play an action card. That is not an option. So we have to play one of them, but let's just leave that for a bit. We also have 1 major action to do, which is either to perform a subterfuge check, which is to try and hide. We're not going to do that. We're a barbarian. We do not hide. Equally, we do not cast a spell. So you can try and hide, cast a spell, or assign choices to equipped items, which is pretty much attacking stuff with the items in your hands. We have a Mighty Claymore here that can do various moves. These are the dice associated with those moves. This is a melee weapon. They're all melee weapons unless otherwise stated. You know, for example, this says it's ranged, this longbow. So you have to be adjacent. And adjacent is, you know, front to front, right to right. So this Monster Hunter is not adjacent to the skeleton on the right. Neither is this battle mage, because battle mage is in the back. Because there's a spawn point in the center as well, who'd be adjacent to the center. So, we can attack these two enemies right here. We might as well go all out, because the barbarian does have the cleave attack with her claymore. This attack affects all enemies in the area attacked. Roll separately for each. Alright, so we'll do that. So we decided we are going to do the cleave. Now the cleave has an initiative modifier of -3. And we've got initiative 3, so our initiative is 0. Maybe we can play an action card to boost that a little bit. Let's have a little look. No, we can't. All the action cards we have minus initiatives, so we might as well go with something that's going to be useful. So we've got a short respite here that we can let us gain 1 health, but we haven't lost any yet, though we might lose some. But it also adds a black die to all rolls. Black die are bad. They're that's a negative sort of die, so we don't want that. We could use ready for anything to add 2 blue to all rolls. These 2 cards also let us move as well, and playing actions or action cards with main move associated with them is the only way to move around in the party formation. Let's play ready for anything. So then we add that to our rolls. But currently, the barbarian's initiative is 3, -3, -3, -3. But we can't go to -3. So the barbarian's initiative is 1. Can't drop below 1. She's the orange player, so we're going to place the orange token right there. So she's going to hit these 2. So now these 2 characters have to decide what they're going to do. I mean, the monster hunter could just try and shoot the skeleton over there. She does, after all, have a ranged attack. And ranged attacks are not so good against enemies that are adjacent, but they are good against things that are not adjacent like this. So I think we're just going to line up a ranged attack so we can do a couple of things. For example, we can do an aimed shot for initiative modifier of -3, but we get 3 blue die in that one, or pin down for initiative -1 with only 2, but then the enemy does receive a red die on all further rolls this turn. So if we shoot it early, the red die is a bad die, so there's red, purple, and black that are bad dice to roll. We'll get into why shortly. We're going to play that one. We're going to play pin down. So I'm going to put this little token on here to indicate that. That makes our initiative 6, and we have to play an action card. Now, sadly, these are all kind of rubbish as well, but that's kind of the idea. Well, it's not really the idea that you draw all the rubbish ones, because that's what we seem to have done for these characters, but it also makes you realize how important they are, so when we do get to replace them, and we will be able to fairly shortly, that you know kind of like what you need. So this one gives a bonus to arc rolls, and a red die to all rolls. So arc rolls is magic. And won't be that useful for us. We could play it anyway, and we wouldn't get the bonus to arc rolls because we're not going to use it, but we still have to roll that red die. If we want to move quickly, we would have to play either this or this. Now we could play Come At Me to get this bonus to defense rolls, but I think we're going to try and hit this thing before it hits us, so we're going to go with Brain Freeze actually, and take that and just risk. We're going to risk that red die. Alright, so our initiative is 7, 0 initiative modifier on the Brain Freeze, so it's still 7, -1. And we've got some leather armor as well, but that is an initiative of 0. So our initiative for the Monster Hunter is 6. Now the Battle Mage. We're going to cast a spell with the Battle Mage. We're going to go with Firebolt. This has an initiative modifier of 0 and difficulty of 2. Now, if we look here, we can see the magic flux. I'll just read these out the way. This represents the ebbing and flowing of all the different magical energies in the game, and affects spellcasting. So this token always starts in the middle, and then around it we have light to the top, dark to the bottom, wild to the right, and earthen to the left. And numbers on each square, which pertain to the different types of magic. So the number represents the highest difficulty of a spell of that type that can be cast. The type of spell is on the card, and all these are wild, and it starts at 3. So at the start of any combat, a spellcaster cannot cast a spell of difficulty 4 or more, pretty much. Now, Firebolt is a difficulty of 2, so we can try and cast that. What it does is, selecting an enemy on the board, the mage causes 3 green dice of damage to them instantly, so it's an instant damage spell if it goes off. Now, between you and me, this is getting nerfed, but we're going to keep it in this edition because it's here, but I'm going to reduce the damage. But anyway, because it's a bit too good. So currently our initiative is 3, but what else can we do? We've got a couple of action cards here. We can use tactical maneuver to move. Now, if this said adjacent enemy, we would have to move in order to use it, but it doesn't. So it's a ranged. An enemy on the board means like any enemy on the board, so it can be anywhere. So we don't need to move. There's another healing thing there that can be pretty nice. Or we can use this Skulker to have +2 initiative, and then all these dice to subterfuge. Now, we're not doing subterfuge, so this could actually be a good one for the monster hunter to have later. I'm going to pick Skulker anyway, so we're not going to get the subterfuge bonus because we're not doing that, but we are going to get the +2 initiative. So that makes the Battle Mage's initiative 5. Now, at this stage, what the players playing the characters could be saying is, because nothing's really set in stone at this point, the barbarian player would have been like, yeah, I want to whack these two. But then these two could be saying, well, if I'm going to shoot one, so this character shoots one, and this character blasts one, there's only one left. So there's no real need to use cleave, is there? You might as well use something else. So we might go with overhand chop. But there's no real need because even though it is, well, I suppose it is more damage, but it also has that red die. Or we could go for forehand swipe. That's what we'll do. We'll go for forehand swipe instead. So we've changed our mind. Now, if that had altered our initiative, we could change it on here. But because it's still a -3, we're just going to go for a stronger attack because orange dice are very, very good. Against one enemy rather than 2, and we're just gonna hope that these 2 do their jobs and kill them. So we'll kill 1 each, hopefully. So moves are only ever sort of set in stone once we draw the enemy's initiative, and that's when there's no going back, and that's what we'll do now. So this is where we'll place this black counter on the board. And the black enemies have an initiative modifier of -5. They all have -5. So this will be the enemy's initiative 2. So the barbarian's probably going to get hit by that. So that's our turn order right there. For the purposes of demonstrating, just at this early stage, if this was a draw, the enemy would go first. If this was a draw, the players get to decide between them who goes first. Just so you know. Green is going first. Green is the monster hunter, and she is going to pin down that skeleton with this attack. So what does she roll? So we've got 2 blue dice for the pin down. So let's get them. Then we also add the attack roll on the character's profile. So that's another blue and a green. And do we have anything with the brain freeze? We do. We have a red, which is not good. So let's just go through the dice real quick. So these dice here, these are good. And the white ones and the orange ones. These are good dice. And these have circles and stars on them. And stars are 2 successes, circles are 1. And then we have the red dice, the purple dice, and the dreaded black dice. Or die, sorry. These have an X on them. This one has 1, that has 2, and that has 3. If you roll an X, all successes are removed. All of them. So the roll is a 0. Let's see what we get. Absolutely nothing. Interesting. That's a really, really terrible roll, Monster Hunter. Now I did make a slight cock up there because I didn't declare which monster we were going to attack, but we're probably going to go after this one on the right. That was sort of my intent. You don't declare which monster you're attacking until it's your turn. So when you're planning your move, you're just saying, I'm going to use pin down. You don't have to say on which enemy, because you could say, I'm going to pin down this one, but then things happen and then that one dies. But you can still use pin down on another enemy. As it turns out, Cleve would have been pretty good now, because there's going to be someone left at the end of this. So poor show to you. Now let's demonstrate re-rolling. We have 4 grit here. Now the dice in the game have various costs of grit to re-roll, and we're going to try and re-roll 2 blues, and blue is 2 grit each. So this Monster Hunter is trying to save face by using all of her current grit to spend 2 on each blue die to re-roll both. Got 2 successes. Okay, that's better. That's better. So what she could have done there is sort of re-rolled 1 blue and then see what that is. And she could re-roll the same dice if she wanted to. You can re-roll dice as much as you want, as long as you've got the grit. So currently, no more re-rolls left for the Monster Hunter. Whoops. It's in the rule book. I'm going to put a little thing somewhere about. But currently, in the current rules, white is 1 grit, blue is 2, green is 3, orange is 3, and all the failed dice are 4 grit to reroll. All the players in the game currently start with 4 grit. Anyway, 2 successes. So that's 2 successes against the enemy's defense, which is 1 white. So we'll roll that. But what does this say? The enemy receives a red die on all further rolls this turn. So a red die is also needed. And let's just see what the monster gets. It gets nothing. So 2 versus nothing is removed from the enemy's health. So the attack roll beat the defense roll by 2. So the Monster Hunter does kill the skeleton, finally, and gets the skeleton card. Woohoo. Next is the teal player, which is the battle mage. So the battle mage is going to cast Firebolt. Alright, so this works slightly differently, and there is a difficulty 2 fire spell, or a wild spell, sorry. So this does involve an arc roll. So we roll the dice, so we have an axe, which is 1, 2 blue, and 1 green. Let's just see what we get. Nothing! Amazing, guys. Amazing. At this stage, the barbarian may well be thinking, well, I could still go with Cleve, but you're not allowed to change at this point. It wouldn't change the initiative at all, but you're not allowed to change. But at this point, Cleve would be better. Now, maybe to save face, we may do the same thing. If I roll a star, I will automatically pass. There's 1 in 6 chance because these dice only have 1 star on them. But we're going to try and reroll this with 2 grit. Again, to save face, because these are really easy enemies. And let's see what we get. We get 1. Okay, so now it's kind of worth using 2 grit to roll the other one. Okay, and that's a roll of a 1. So the spell is failed, and we do not kill the skeleton. Regardless of whether the spell succeeded or failed, it will be put here, face down, and can't be used again this encounter. Right then, if we had successfully cast the spell, this would have moved over to the wild side, in which case difficulty 5 wild spells may then be cast, and with a blue die with them as well. It also buffs dark magic a little bit, so difficulty 4 dark magic can be spells, because wild and dark are slightly aligned in the same way as earth and light are. Little detail there. Regardless, complete fail. Hang your head in shame. It is now the enemy's go. We have 2 skeletons who are both going to attack the frontal area, which is where the barbarian is. Again, for demonstrating purposes, how the enemies generally behave is that they will attack the enemy in front of them. If there's two enemies or two characters there, they will attack the character with the lowest initiative, so they would both target the barbarian in this case. If there was no one in the front, they would attack the center, so they would both go after the monster hunter in this case. And if there was no one in the center, they would attack the entire board, again attacking whoever has the lowest character, the lowest initiative. So they go in front of them, then to the center, then everywhere. And when there's a choice, they always pick the character with the lowest initiative. But there is a character right in front of them. It's the barbarian, and she's going to get hit by two skeletons. We'll do them one at a time. They have a measly 1 white die in attack. That one didn't do anything, so we don't have to roll to defend. And that one gets 1 success. So now we have to defend against that. The barbarian gets 1 measly white die in defense. Let's see if she does it. She doesn't. Sure, she loses 1 health. Now the barbarian does have an ability, reduces damage received by 1 to a minimum of 1. So that is a minimum of 1. If we had taken 2 there, she'd have only have taken 1. So a little nick there, not so good. And now the barbarian gets to attack back. Barbarian for her attack. Oh no, wait. She's got ready for action. These dice to all rolls. Ready for anything. Okay, she defended against that. Sorry, barbarian. I didn't notice that. So yeah, the all rolls works with defense as well, obviously. So there we go. Now for our turn, we're going to do the overhand swipe. So that's 2 blue for the general attack, 2 blue for ready for anything, an orange and a green. I have a feeling this is going to kill the skeleton. Barbarians, by the way, also have an ability in their box here saying, may add 3 orange dice and -3 initiative to an attack. Barbarian adds a red die to all rolls for this encounter each time this is done. So you keep getting more and more wound up. It's a really strong ability that will kill something it attacks, but obviously leaves you vulnerable to counter attack. Alright, let's see what we get. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Not a massive attack, but still, even with the defense of 0, only 1 skeleton takes 4 wounds, and so he's dead. The barbarian takes that skeleton card. Whoever kills the enemy gets the card. For the purposes of the demonstration, we're just going to say that this skeleton is dead. There's very little point playing the next round because I want to kind of keep things moving. So we'll play our next round. We'll say that the battle mage gets off, you know, a fireball if that's possible, because you can't cast level difficulty 5 spells right now. But we'll just say that the battle mage goes first and kills it. What now? So let's have a little look. So we will say that spell worked, for example. What now? Cleanup phase. We'll gather all the initiative cards back in. Like so. We'll take these off the tracker as well. Set all these to 0. Little housekeeping. Okay. If characters moved, they can then reposition back on the board, but I think this formation works just fine. We'll just make so we can see our noble heroes. First thing is that all the characters gain 1 health, but if they were injured, none of them were. This is returned to the middle as well, but it didn't move. And now we get to loot the fallen enemies, right? This is the first thing we do, is to loot them. So first of all, it's wealth. The character who killed the enemies gets all the wealth of the enemies in front of them. So if you kill an enemy, you get its wealth. In this case, 2. So we're going to use these grey squares for now, just to pop them into each character's wealth, because they all killed 3. Except they didn't, did they, Battle Mage? But we're going to say that she did. Lovely. Okay. Next is grit gain. This is where all the enemies are grouped together, and we see how much grit they're all worth. So every enemy that was killed in the encounter, we look at them all, total this up, in which case 1, 2, 3 grit. So every character in the game gains 3 grit. So let's just go ahead and do that really quick. That's health, by the way. So you only have 3. You have now 7. And you've got 3. Obviously, you'd make this a little neater if it was your own character. Next is action cards. This is where we get to swap action cards with other characters and draw more action cards from the pool. We take a look at the number of enemies and their color. In this case, we have 3 white enemies, and draw 3 white action cards from the pile. So now what happens is everyone just kind of takes a look at their cards and sees what they want to get rid of, and then they either take a card from the pool, if you like, or they swap it with another character. Now this Skulker, I think would be quite good on the Monster Hunter, and maybe for now we can swap that with Brain Freeze, because this is a bonus to arc rolls, even though it does involve a red die, which might be better than nothing. Let's see what else we've got. We've got a back away and may move, which may move and gains a health. That's pretty nice. This is +3 initiative. This is -4 initiative. So we're probably not going to do Determined Stance. Probably not going to do that one. But Move Fast is actually a really good card. Let's just move and a massive initiative bonus fire. Let's just move in a big initiative bonus. So I think we're going to swap Short Respite with Move Fast. So this is a healing card, but it's not a very good one. This is a better healing card because it lets us move and and doesn't evolve the black die and has a better initiative value. So a Short Respite really isn't a very good card at all. Sometimes that's what you get. So does anybody want Back Away? Let's have a look at yours. So this is pretty good. Gains a health. This one lets move, and this is a bonus to arc rolls. So okay, so we'll leave that one. Other things such as Fulfill the Vow here, this scimitar action that lets you move. The Buckler, which we haven't touched yet, also grants move actions if it's activated. So you don't need that. What about you? We've got Come At Me. Yeah, we'll swap that. So now the Monster Hunter has Skulker, Back Away, and Reposition. Very nice. These cards that are no longer required are shuffled back into... Well, let me have the deck. Now looky here, we've got another loot card. Let's have a look and see what this is. So Lucky Charm. That means that one character gains 2 grit. Or it can, or like 2 characters can get 1 grit, which I think is what we'll do. We're gonna add this for you and this for you. Now, if you watch the demonstration video and I haven't changed it, this is one of the things that keeps changing. Every character can gain 2 grit, but I think I'm going to clarify that this is just like 2 extra grit between the characters, and it's not going to be called Looking Charm. It's going to be like extra XP, because that's what it is pretty much. Learn from experience, I think I'll call it. So that's just something that may well change. You can use whatever rule you like, pretty much. We'll put that at the bottom of the loot card. And I think that's about it. We've done that. We'll flip that back over because we can use that again. All right, we're ready to go to the next area. So the path splits at this point, and we can go here to room A, essentially, which is where the big bad is. There's an orange enemy in room A. This must be the White King. Do not determine this randomly as you would normally. So we would just draw the White King from these 8 enemies here. We won't do that though. We're going to head in this direction to this small grey square with a red border around it. So large black squares are combats, as we've just seen. Small grey ones are events. And the red border means that you can encounter this over and over again. This room is now cleared. It is never coming back, and we never fight in these enemies again. These can go back into the deck. We'll never need these beginner enemies ever again. We're never going to touch them. They were just a really sort of easy mode enemy to get us into the game. So we can move like back here and through there and stuff without any issues whatsoever. But this you will encounter every single time. So we'll move here, we'll move there, but then we'll move back here, we have to encounter this room again. And indeed, if we come back here, we can encounter this room again and fight blue enemies over and over until we've had our fill of blue enemies. There's also a chest in this room, which we'll get to that in a little bit, but that's extra loot. So, 2 encounters, sorry, 2 events. Let's grab the event deck, we'll just move it down here. Give it a shuffle. Draw 2 of them. And do them one at a time. The Flooded Passage. Well, looks like we're going to get wet. Each character will take 2 health damage as they swim through the sickly frozen waters. Each character rolls as many white dice as their current health and reduces this damage by 1 by a number of successes. So pretty much everyone's taken 2 damage, but you've got 4 health, so we'll roll 4 white dice for you, and every success reduces the damage by 1. So you've got 4 successes, so you're fine. This character has 5 health, so should be fine, swimming through a ruined passage. Yeah, that's 2. And here... yeah, absolutely fine. So that was 2 damage reduced by a number of successes on white dice equal to the number of health points you had. Now, that's obviously quite easy for us because we're quite new and we've just passed the tutorial. If our characters were on the way back from a tough fight, that might be a kick in the teeth. The Ugly Hag. A hideous hang, shambles from the shadows towards you, asking what you think of her wretched face. The wrong word could spell disaster. One character must take a charm test, so charm 3 tests. So let's have a look at this. We'll have a look at all our characters' charm scores. This character rolls 1 white dice in charm. That's not so good. This character rolls 1 white dice in charm. Oh dear. This character rolls 1 white dice in charm. Right. We don't have a particularly charming party, though there are characters in the game that are very charming, which could be quite useful at this stage because we have to get 3 successes on 1 white dice. We can't do it. We just can't do it. We didn't get 1. Failure to charm the hag means the character... oh, we should have guessed. We should have said who it was. Well, I didn't actually say which one it was, but let's draw it randomly. Let's draw it randomly from this bag here. It was the barbarian. Okay. Failure to charm the hag makes the character take an injury as the hag curses them and disappears. A success avoids this, yeah, obviously. Oh dear. Alright then. So an injury. Alright then. Here are the injury cards. Let's see what the barbarians picked up. Slow healer. The character no longer recovers 1 health between encounters. That could be pretty bad. So at the end of the encounter last time, we all healed 1 health, except we didn't. The barbarian no longer does that. That kind of sucks. Alright. And that is our 2 events resolved. On to the second room. Boom. So here, we've got 2 chests. Let's do this first. So the chests do not have red borders around them, so we cannot encounter the chests over and over again. But we are going to add 2 chests to this character's loot. We're also going to add a loot card because this encounters loot. Because we always get 1 by default, and then we're going to have a look at who is going to fight us. 0 white, green, and orange, but an equal number of blue enemies as the characters. We're going to draw them 1 at a time and read them as they're drawn, because this is where things get a little more interesting. We've got a crypt dweller who spawns at the back. and it will target the character with the highest initiative rather than the lowest. Rolls 4 blue dice. In attack, worth 3 grit, 2 wealth, and a +1 initiative. It's a green enemy. So unless there is a choice of enemies, the character with the highest initiative thing won't actually matter. But this can throw a lot of tactics off, because many characters, such as the defender, will always have a low initiative to take the hits, allowing quicker characters to go first and do the damage. But the quick dweller will completely reverse that. Next, we have a apprentice. This is a mage. This is very interesting. Right, you go on the front, and upon activation, the apprentice will cast Steal Life if they can. Otherwise, they will cast Raise the Dead. All right, we'll get to that in a little bit. But yeah, and 1 loot card at the bottom there. You see that? So that means that 1 loot card is added to this encounter's loot. Finally, no. We've got another Crypt Dweller who arrives on the left-hand side. You've got left and right there. If lefties fall, it would appear on the right. So the Crypt Dwellers really want to get into the fight, so they have 2 spawn points. You use the first one first, which is on the left. So we've got quite a nasty encounter here. Now it's all a case of whether the Barbarian can batter that apprentice before it manages to cast a spell. Alright, so all these enemies are green enemies with a +1 initiative modifier. Now that's just coincidence. There are other many enemies in here, like the white, for example, with a -3 that's a purple. It's just coincidence. Right, we need to kill the apprentice. Although I wouldn't mind seeing, showing you guys how that would work. We'll see how it goes though, right? Overhead chop. We'll go with overhead chop. And we'll go with move fast, because that's what we need to do. Except, of course, we haven't drawn any initiative cards. So let's do that first. We'll do this in order. So Battle Mage gets a 5. The Barbarian gets a 5. And the Monster gets another 7. Okay. So again, with you. Yeah, she's just going to overhead chop this. So 5. Still 5. We're not going to do this. We're confident in our abilities to kill this measly little apprentice with our overhead chop. And we're going to do move fast, which also gives the option to move if we want to, but we don't have to. We don't have to say that we're going to either. So initiative for you is 8. Okay, that's pretty respectable. So these two have their own respective enemies this time. Both Crypt Dwellers, both with an attack of 4, which is considerable. So that's going to go there, and you're going to attack there. I think, because it failed so badly last time, we may well activate our items. Just to show you how this works, because this character has 2 items on them, so they can, if they want to, activate them both. Let's see what our options are. So initiative of 5, we'll just move these out of the way. We can move tactical maneuver, second, gain 1 health. Might not be a bad thing if the enemies go first. Doesn't really do anything else. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do second wind. We don't want the arc rolls. It is a -1 initiative though, but I guess we're just thinking we're going to get hit. So first of all, we'll use the scimitar. What should we use? We could use sword flurry, +3 initiative. Enemy defending against this attack gains 1 red penalty die for the duration of the round. So that'd be nice to get the get that. We can do chop chop. First attack succeeds, then immediately attack the enemy again. Or we can fulfill the vow, which is a move and a ranged attack. So this is move and lob the scimitar. See if you get that reference. And then once completed, place this card in the loot pile. Tricky. We could try and move away, couldn't we? Could try and move away, and but then we wouldn't need that gain health, so I could use that one. 2 moves won't make any difference. When you move, you can move anywhere in the party formation. So 1 move is sufficient. Let's just go with... Let's watch our initiative now. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, yeah. So we'll go with the scimitar. I did forget something actually last time. The chain armor for the initiative. I don't think it mattered too much. Because chain armor modifies initiative by -1. And then we can activate the buckler. So the buckler has a default block, which is always active unless we override it. So even if we did cast a spell or did some other action, the default block is always going to be active, and it modifies the first enemy attack received each round with a red die. So pretty much it's got a 1 in 6 chance, because the red die has 1 X on it, 1 fail, to remove all damage. Now, better shields will add more or better, more harsh penalty dice, but it's only a measly buckler, so it's nice and light. Now we could do spin and move to add this bonus to attack. Or we could do the fly and block, which adds this the defense, but there's no need because this just adds a move as well. Let's just leave it as it is. So I'll keep the buckler on as it is. So let's have a look at the Battle Mage's initiative. We've got plus, so 5, 6, 7, 8, but then we've got 7 and then 6 for this. So the Battle Mage's initiative is 6. I don't think that would have mattered last time. It would have only drawn with the Barbarian, I think. Or with the Monster Hunter. Speaking of which, the Monster Hunter can now try and possibly do a another shot at this guy, right? Yeah, okay, we'll do an aim shot. We've got initiative 7. The aim shot is a pretty strong attack. And then we can do Skulker as well, couldn't we? To get a +2 initiative. Or back away for the +1 health in case we get hit. Let's do Skulker. Let's go all the way. Alright. Actually, just for the purposes of because we've kind of seen this, haven't we? Let's do a subterfuge check, right? We're going to try and hide. So we're going to add the Skulker to this to give us a initiative of 9. Subterfuge checks do not affect initiative on themselves, by themselves. So it's just initiative 9 to try and hide. So that's what she's going to do. She's going to try and hide and then do a sneak attack next turn. Let's see what these guys get. They get a 5, modified by 1 is a 6. So I've actually drawn with teal. Alright, let's see how this plays out. So the way that subterfuge works is you make a subterfuge test by rolling whatever dice you have in subterfuge. In this case, 2 green, and because we played Skulker, 3 white. But what are we trying to get? We need a success for every active enemy on the board. And there are 3 active enemies. Now sometimes enemies can spawn into enemies waiting. For example, if we had 4 enemies and they all spawned at the front, there's not enough room for them. So that's when they would be placed into here, and then they'd spawn into here whenever rounds started, where they were able to be placed. But we don't have that. So it's just difficulty 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's see what we get. We get 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice. So now the Monster Hunter moves into the hidden area, where she cannot be targeted by enemies, and she may launch a sneak attack if a relevant weapon is equipped. Speaking of which, we can make a minor action to do that. So our major action was to perform a subterfuge test. Now we do a minor action. Equip an item from your pack. Oh wait, no, not that one. No. Swap an item from for one in your pack. So we're just going to swap the longbow for the short sword. So next turn, we'll be able to do a backstab in the middle there. This attack may only be used when the character is in stealth stance. The enemy receives one black die. So it has a 50-50 chance of removing all successes from the enemy defense. Pretty nice. Alright, so you succeeded. Well done. Does leave your fellows in a little bit of a pickle though, doesn't it? The Barbarian goes next and is going to just try and thwack this dude. So in this attack, we have a orange and 2 greens, and here's the wild card, a red. Also, there's 2 for the regular attack. So again, Barbarian's a big, heavy-hitting character. Rolling a 1, 2, 3, 4. So the apprentice has 4 health, but also has 4 blue in defense. The apprentice is, and I'm gonna say this and then roll no success, but the apprentice is probably the toughest blue enemy there is in terms of what he can do. Oh, okay, let's see. 2. All right, so we got 4 in attack, 2 in defense. Difference of 2 means 2 is removed from this enemy's health. So not that great. Maybe the Berserker Rage would have been better, but then you would have moved after the apprentice. All right, well, let's see what happens now, because it is the enemies' go, and because these 2 have drawn, Teal and the enemies will go first. Let's see what the apprentice does then. So, will cast Steal Life if they can, if they're adjacent to a character and the magic matrix selects them, otherwise they will cast Raise the Dead. So we have to kind of dig through here to find these spells, sadly, and I'm probably going to change this, to be honest with you, but that's what we have right now. So we got Raise the Dead here, and then we got Steal Life. So these are the 2 spells that the apprentice currently has. We'll just plunk them here for now. So Steal Life, fine, not like that, is a difficulty 4 spell, and as the magic matrix is currently on 3 apiece, can't cast it. So Raise the Dead it is. Caster does what all necromancers are known for and raises a corpse to do his nefarious bidding. Spell summons a zombie follower with the following profile. Alright, so in order for this spell to work, difficulty 2, we need to roll the mage's attack, pretty much, which is 5 blue, and see if they get enough to raise the dead. Doesn't do it. Quite a surprise, but there we go. Now, unlike a character where this is turned face down and can't be used again, the apprentice will continue to try and cast that until they actually do, and then it will be placed on the board. Now, this is a spell I'm probably going to change, because once this is on the board, how do you cast it again? You know, type thing. But yeah, summons appear on the monster spawns, whether they're working for the characters or the monsters, and then just attack things that are next to them. And they can move around and stuff like that, I think. But anyway, it's not on the board anyway, so never mind. Alright, so we've got 2 more. Now this is where the highest initiative thing does actually come in, because this enemy at least would try and attack the left, nothing there. Try and attack the center, nothing left. So attacks the board, and would normally attack the character with the lowest initiative, but in this case would attack the character with the highest initiative, which happens to be in this case the barbarian. This player will not be targeted because they are hidden. So Barbarian has to take a attack of 4. And the Barbarian is not that good at defending. An attack of 3. Barbarian only gets 1 dice in defense. No armor or anything like that. Nothing. So 3 health lost. But it is reduced by 1 at least. Sadly though, not going to recover that at the end of the encounter. Or at least not going to recover 1, so could become a bit of an issue. This Crypt Dweller will attack the Battle Mage, however. Let's see how he gets on. 3 hits. Alright, let's see what you roll in defense. So, oh, wait, no. And this, because the Buckler modifies the enemy attack received with a red die. It doesn't get anything, so it didn't do anything. In defense, this character rolls 1 blue just in martial prowess, and 1 blue for the chain armor. So we got 3 there. And 1. So 2 health lost. Ouch. Right down there. Now it is the Battle Mage's turn, because all the monsters have gone. Let's see what you're up to. You're using the Sword Flurry. Alright, so that's 1 dice for the Sword Flurry, and then we get 2 blue for the regular attack. An enemy defending against this attack gains 1 red die. 3, okay. And only 4 health. Rolled next, cancels all successes. There wasn't anyway, so it takes 3 lots of damage. It's still alive. That's the end of the round. So now we go and play another one. We have to see who wins this combat and also see how well this backstab goes. So I think the Monster Hunter will try and backstab the apprentice. Shuffle them up. Alright, let's have a look at these cards, because they've got things written on the bottom. Second Wind, which we used last turn, may not be used again this encounter. So we flip that and sort of put it to one side. So we cannot use again that for the rest of this fight. Now luckily we've got these two, which we can alternate between. Can it be used again this turn? Can it be used again this turn? Now if we had another one that said cannot be used again this counter, and say this encounter, say we used that, then it'll be stuck with this one. And then if we use that for that turn, we wouldn't have any to play, because you can't play this twice in a row, and these would have been spent for this encounter. So what would have happened then is would have to have done red action cards, and all red action cards are bad. For example, this one, you can move, but you'll lose 1 health. So you just instantly lose a health. Whoops. So you played move fast, cannot be used again next turn, so we'll just flip that round and we can use it next turn. And here we've got may not be used again this encounter. So here, may not be used again this encounter, may not be used again this encounter. So you got to manage your action cards, because the better ones tend to be this, which will encounter end the encounter quicker because they're better cards. But if it does drag along, you are forced to then start drawing from that, because you pretty much exhaust yourself. Alright, let's see how you guys do in this round. We need to draw initiative cards for you all. A 5. A 1. Oh dear. And a 5. Alright. So we know what this character is going to be doing. You're going to be launching a backstab. Sadly, we don't really have a really good card to play with this, but we'll use back away, I guess. This gives us a final initiative of 5, 3, 4. Fairly late for a backstab, but that's how it kind of is sometimes. So which character? Alright, so 4. Might all be dead by then. Of course, she has an initiative of 1 and doesn't really have any decent other cards. So let's formulate a plan. All these enemies are sort of like around the board. And this character, this player, is saying, I can take him out. Fine, I can do that. So what we want to try and do is get these two together so the barbarian can use cleave. As a note, you're not allowed to use overhead chop twice in a row. So we've got to swap it. I think currently in the rulebook it says that this incurs a penalty of a red die, but I've just like stopping players from doing it. So you can't use the same move over and over again. You can still assign choices to your equipped items, but you have to pick a different one every turn. In this case, you're going to cleave. So what we're going to try and do, and we're going to do ready for anything, which leaves you with an initiative of 1. Pretty much 1, -3, -3. We could, for a laugh, do the orange dice thing as well. I think we're going to. We might as well. So may add 3 orange dice So I'm actually just going to put this here to remind me. And -3 initiative to an attack action. The barbarian adds a red die to all rolls for this encounter each time this is done. So I'm just going to get a little red block and put it in global. This means that from now on she has to roll that in every single roll that she makes. But this makes no sense because this cleave action is against this. And she's going to take that out. So my plan is that the barbarian is going to use ready for anything to move either here or here. And the wizard, the battle mage, is going to use force flight. A great gust of air carries a target a caster chooses from their current position to another. The spell may be cast on any creature or character. The caster may then move them to any valid area on the game board. They're otherwise unaffected, and these enemies are immune to pushed, so it will work on them. So I'm going to use force flight to move this here, and then you can move there and cleave them. So this is how characters can kind of intertwine their abilities in order to defeat the enemies. We've got initiative of 5 and +2, so that's 7. We could go with this, kind of risky. Difficulty 2. Oh, you know what? I forgot about this as well. 1 free reroll and all spells cast. We could have done that when we failed the firebolt. Apologies, I just forgot. Quite a lot to remember when even though I did write the freaking game. But I'm playing 3 characters, so there's a bit to remember. But yeah, for reference, the battle mage can 1 free reroll on all spells cast, so could have maybe saved 2 grit there. Who knows? I'm not going to risk brain freeze regardless. I don't like that that red die, so we're going to do tactical maneuver for the initiative. We can move if we want to. That could be useful. So our initiative is 7. So we've got initiative 7. We've got initiative 1. And, oh, hang on. Move the wrong one. So 5. So you're initiative 4, I think. You're on initiative 7. 6. 5, 6, 7, -1 for the armor. Yeah, see, I remembered. This is quite critical. When are the enemies going? They get a +1 and they're going... Oh, at 4. Okay, alright. So we do get a little bit of movement before they go. Whoops, sorry. The enemies go first. So, the teal player. Let's see if forced flight works. Just going to try and cast it. Our arcs is 2 blue and a green. Nothing else. Okay, cast it with a difficulty of 2. So we can move him there. He's got 1 health. Cancel that. And now this character can also move. There's no real need to, though, because wherever we move, these are going to attack the battle mage. So there's no real... But I suppose I'll move there, just in case we need to whack the apprentice next turn and I can't move next time. Because we're fairly certain that the barbarian is going to kill these. Now it is the enemy's turn. And they are going to both attack the battle mage. Now we still have our buckler on. So the first one is going to get modified by a red die. 1, 2. And we roll 2 blue in defense. 1. Oh man, 1 health left. Okay, alright. This has suddenly got pretty interesting. 3. None. Alright, well might as well use all this grit to re-roll that. We need 3 successes. None. Okay, so what happens here is that the battle mage is KO'd. So this player is out of the game for now and can't make any actions. on their turn, they can roll a white die, and on a success, they can come back. That didn't count. With 1 health on the following turn, and then start moving as normal. Otherwise, there are certain spells that can do it, special abilities, none of which these two have. So the only way this character can come back into the game is if we roll a success. Or the combat ends, which we're kind of hoping will happen fairly soon, because it is the Monster Hunter's turn. And the Monster Hunter is going to do the backstab, which is 2 green dice on the card. Then we've got another green dice and a blue die. Let's roll that, see what we get. There's nothing on the back away card. No, we gain a health, but we don't. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good attack. Now in defense, the apprentice has 3 blue, and because we use the backstab, the enemy receives 1 black. So we've got 4 versus nothing. That would have worked otherwise, that 3, but this cancels all this. This is a attack. This is a defense of 0, which means that the apprentice has been slain. I forgot to move the freaking apprentice, though, didn't I? Let's see if he got that. I forgot that with all the excitement of the of you dying. All right, there's a zombie on the board, which would then actually attack. So we're retconning a little bit, but the zombie would then attack. It's got an attack of 2 blue. This would be against the barbarian. Now the zombie will die if the skeleton dies. It gets a 2. Barbarian defends, gets a 2. So that's fine. All right. So we're back. We're back to kind of like how we should be. And then you sweep in and great demonstration, Verax, and kills this. So first of all, congratulations. You get the card. Now what happens is, not that it's too pertinent in this position, but the Monster Hunter's initiative is set to 0. The reason being is if there are further enemies here to attack, they would target the Monster Hunter for a revenge attack, if you like, for doing the backstab. So that's where that comes in. Okay, now it is the Barbarian's turn. So on their turn, the Barbarian will move. So we'll pop over here, and then we're going to do this ridiculous cleave, which is 1, 2, 3. So we'll attack the one with 1 health first. We're going to declare that. So the cleave has 3 blue. Then we have another 2 blue for the regular martial prowess. And then we get 3 orange for the berserker rage thing that she's got into. But she also gets this red die, which could throw everything. Cropper, let's have a look. Okay, it didn't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage against the ghoul. I'm going to roll its defense. It gets nothing. It loses 7. It's dead. Barbarian gets that card. And then we do the same thing against that. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to roll its defense of 1 white. Good try. It loses 9 health. It is dead. So, combat over. So what we do now is we revive the battle mage with 1 health, and the battle mage takes an injury. Dropped it. The character loses 1 random piece of equipment. Oh dear. All right. Let's see what you lose. Come on, group those together. Because it's on there. You lost your scimitar. That was kind of careless, wasn't it? So it's not really an injury, but it's obviously something really awkward that the characters know how to deal with, because the battle mage has no nothing to fight with. does have a have spells though, so maybe that's something we can think about. But we've got a few other things to do, like last time. So let's go through all that. First of all, we'll do a little bit of tidying. Oh, and not that it matters, but this would have died, and this would have moved this way, which frees up Fireball, because it's a difficulty 4. But it would also have freed up Steal Life. It's a pretty nasty spell, but that's for another day. We'll put those back as well. First thing we do then, just put our action cards around there. We'll put this in the just on the equipment deck for now. I might buy it back. Loot our enemies. That's what we're going to do. We're going to loot our enemies and see what they had. So first of all, individual loot. The apprentice gets 3 wealth. Well done. And the barbarian gets 4. Now, collective grit. No, we do grit afterwards, actually. We'll do grit afterwards. We'll do the rest of the loot. So the first loot is 8 coins, which can be shared evenly between the party. Should we give like 4 to you? Players have to decide. 2 to you. The players are getting pretty rich now. And another 5. Okay. I was hoping for some items to show that off. Should we have a look for one? Because we're not going to do another combat now. Let's see what else there is. Yeah, so the Boots of Quickness, passive action. While being worn, these boots grant +1 initiative. So that's really nice. We can give that to the Barbarian, say. And then she will get +1 initiative to as just a passive bonus. Pretty nice. We've also got some chests. We've got 2 chests to loot. Let's find out what's in them. Loot the chest. This chest is unlocked and gains 1 loot card. Let's see what's in it. Lucky charm. Someone can gain 2 grit. Let's make it you. And the other one, this chest is unlocked and contains 3 loot cards. Let's find a chest that isn't unlocked. For example, this one. This chest could be unlocked with a successful subterfuge test of 1 for 1 loot card. Otherwise, spend 5 wealth to unlock the safe and then get the loot card. We're going to have a go at that though. So our Monster Hunter subterfuge is 2 green. So we roll these 2, try and get 1 success, and we get 2. Nice. So then we unlock that and get the loot card from it. Amulet of Defense. While wearing this item, this character receives 1 extra green dice in all defense rolls. That's really damn good. Let's give that to the Barbarian as well. So at the end of the encounter, everyone gains 1 health. You gained 1 and came back to life. You don't gain 1, and you didn't lose any. All right, now we'll do the grit bonus thing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So everybody gets 9 grit. So in this character, for example, how is that possible? Because we can only have 3 more. 6 more. Well, what happens is the tracker fills up, wipes, and then the remainder is added. So in this case, the character would end up with 3 grit because we'd add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But it's wiped after those 6, so we end up with them. And that will happen for every character. So you will also lose that one. And you will lose that one. So everyone... Will you? Yeah. So everyone gained 9. And the remainder is left on there. The upside of that is everybody gains a skill. So we can now have a look at the skills real quick and just see what they're about. So skills add various different abilities and bonuses and improvements to the characters. Players are, this is quite a good one actually, able to just choose freely from these. The only thing that they need to really watch out for is that at the bottom it says the skill may only be able to taken once, keep this card. There could only be 1 apothecary skill in the deck, so it's a good idea to sort of check that and then see if you're taking a skill that might fit another character better. Every character is going to gain a skill, so let's have a little look. While possessing this skill, the character may perform a major action to recover a character who is KO'd in the same area. The KO'd character is restored to 1 health. So as we just saw, in this example, the battle mage was reduced to 0 health, and then just had to come back at the end of the combat, pretty much. We can actually give Apothecary to you, since you don't seem to be getting hit very much, and then she can like move in and use Apothecary to recover a fallen comrade. So that's a new ability. We can also have Arcane Knowledge, take 3 additional spells in addition to any others you may have. So maybe the Battle Mage might want this. So we'll just put that up as with Drop Tip. And then we could maybe pick some more spells. You can pick from any spell deck that you want. So we might pick up a Choke. We might think, actually, yeah, I kind of maybe want that Raise the Dead. That was pretty cool. And why don't I grab a Steal Life as well? And then then suddenly you start dabbling in dark magic as well. But as dark and wild are kind of intertwined and lend bonuses to one another, this is quite a nice synergy. So then you get extra spells. And then say the Barbarian might want something like, let's see if we can find the one that gives... There are things like Hardy as well. Character becomes more resilient. The character reduces all damage they receive by 1 to the minimum of 1. We've already got that. But this one, character with the skills able to endure greater wounds. The character increases their magic and health by 2. That's how we add 2 health to this. And there's things like... There's Lucky as well. Skill grants a character who has a 1 free reroll per round with no cost of grit. That's pretty nice. Where's the one I'm freaking looking for, though? Resilience, isn't that? Skill up, there we go. So this enables the character to add additional dice to their attributes. The character immediately gains 2 white dice, 1 blue dice, and 1 green dice. So with this case, we can add these and say, well, I wouldn't mind like a blue dice in defense here. And how about I get a little bit better at charming, because we kind of needed that before. And then suddenly, oh yeah, and then I suppose we can add maybe 1 into knowledge as well, which I haven't used yet, but that's fine. That's more of a thing for events and for certain enemies that we didn't meet. But so now suddenly we're a bit better in defense, and we know a bit more knowledge and are a bit charmier, so we can upgrade our skills or our abilities like that. So that's pretty much how skills work. Now, to kind of like round things off, we're going to head back through this square here to get home, and we've got to do 2 more events. Why not, eh? I'm kind of having fun. So we'll do this one first, and then this one. Come on. Treasure. All characters immediately receive 1 chest card. The characters immediately receive. Oh, right. We find a chest. Nice. This one is empty. Oh. Still, not all events are bad. And then this one, a diseased corpse. Oh dear. A disease-ridden corpse is about to fall in an alcove onto an unfortunate character. Is it seen in time? 1 character must take an awareness test. On a failure, a random character will suffer a purple die penalty to rolls until they are cured on the home space at the cost of 8 wealth. Alright, so this is a random character. You should say that at the start. But 1 random character must take an awareness test. Let's find out which character that is. So we'll pop you back in here. Shuffle that up. And was that really random? Is that really shuffling things? Maybe I... Okay, fine. Apparently it's the oh, no, there it is. The Battle Mage. So it is an awareness test of 2. The Battle Mage's awareness is terrible, so you need to roll a star, pretty much. You don't. So sadly, goes to bad for worse for the Battle Mage. Not only did they drop their scimitar, but now must roll a purple die penalty to all rolls until they are cured. That is where we're going now. Oh yes, and we'd remove this because it's only for that encounter. So we did make it home, where we can now do certain things, like heal for 3 health per wealth, buy potions, buy items and sell items for for half price, writing down, and buy valuable information. Now we'll look at that in a little bit. But first of all, we've got to deal with you, because 8 wealth to cure your kind of affliction. So let's lend a hand there, because purple dice are really bad. So this affects the entire party. So you can pay for most of it, but the barbarian gave you a hand there to get rid of that. So now we can get rid of this. And also, the battle mage lost their scimitar. So we could buy this, but there's a lot of equipment cards in here. So we could get a hand axe, or we could get a halberd's a two-handed weapon. We could get a falchion, for example. So let's say we get a hand axe. I want to fancy an upgrade. We'll get a hand axe. Actually, maybe not. It's a bit expensive. We'll get this instead. So that's another 4 gold, which we're gonna have to borrow for another character. So 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. All right, that leaves the party with, let's see. So the characters don't have to share gold or wealth, but in this case they are. They're banding together, which is usually the best way, but not always. We currently have 9 gold left. So what we're going to do is we're going to visit the healer. Visit the healer at the home space. The healer will heal 1 health per 3 wealth spent, and we're just going to give you 1 more point of health, so you're not on the brink of death. And even though we're not going to do it, might head back here, or just might go straight to room A here and just try and keep you out of trouble for a little while. Maybe we'll find a healing potion or something, because strangely we haven't found one of them yet, and the loot card, there's a lot of them. And then what we'll do for the purposes of demonstration is buy a point of valuable information. 6 wealth plus 4 wealth per valuable information known. We don't know any. So we're going to use the last of our wealth. So 3 of it went on that healing. So we'll get rid of that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our characters are stone broke, but we now have a piece of valuable information. And these things represents maybe a hushed secret, or maybe a part of a map or something like that. To aid in our character's current quest. And with 1 valuable information, our characters can reduce the number of blue cards drawn in an encounter by 1, add 1 loot card, add or remove an event card from an event location. Shouldn't be a dot there. So, say we were to continue this, we have to head here into 3 events. We could use this to remove 1 event card, so we only draw 2. Then we get rid of that, and we can continue on. The more you have, the better this gets. So with 2, you can reduce the number of green cards drawn by 1. Give all the characters a global green dice in the next encounter. That's really quite nice. So everyone has an extra green dice for everything, and so it goes, depending on how much you have. And there we go. I reckon we can kind of end it there for that one. That was quite exhilarating, all in all, really. I did forget a few things here and there. Apologies for that. I get involved, and while there's nothing like particularly difficult about this game, I don't think, there's just quite a lot of simple elements, and it's quite easy to forget something. In the scheme of things, though, I don't think any of the things that I forgot particularly mattered, and that's sort of the way with the early game, at least. And then by the time you get into encounters where it does matter, you're remembering more. And it's a game where you're all collaborating and you're all kind of doing things at the same time, so you should spot things that other characters didn't as you get into the game. So it is my hope that you have watched that and kind of get to grips with how the game will play, and maybe you'll play the game and then get in touch. There's all the contact information below in how to do so, as well as a link to the other tutorial video I made, which is much more regimented, organized, and edited and scripted and everything like that. This was just me playing around, now a bit of fun, and hopefully you guys too. But I welcome any and all feedback with how the game works, what you like, what you didn't like, because I played this game with numerous people, as I said. The problem with that is a constant is that I'm there and I know all these people, so I need to like leave that bubble, and people need to play it by learning the rules for themselves without me explaining things, and just kind of like experiencing it very naturally without the maker of the game being there, either playing along with them or watching, especially when they kind of know that person and they're kind of mates, you know. So I'm willing to receive any and all feedback, and hopefully you guys do enjoy some of the game, and we go on and make this. I know it does need a few things that you know, I need to tweak here and there. There's a couple of obscurities within the rules and the writing that I need to tighten up on. I think that's the big major job for next time. But let me know what you guys think about the wider game and anything you want, really. Okay, I am going to go. Once again, thank you very much for watching that, and I will hopefully see you soon. Take care, and toodaloo.